So one of the challenges I think that happens is, and this is something that is pervasive throughout America, is this idea or this kind of trend where we box ourselves in because we have tied certain narratives together. So for instance, when you talk to the average person on the left, they would say, any opposition to, the border and what is happening at the border stems out of some kind of xenophobia or some kind of racism. And so you get, people who are completely paralyzed from doing anything because that narrative has been accepted by the media, and it makes it impossible to truly talk about some of the things you're talking about and the experiences that we're having. The fact that we're losing 100,000 people every year to this drug invasion, and a lot of people are talking about them as not overdoses, these are poisonings, right? Because a lot of these people don't know what they're taking, and they're caught completely off guard, and just a couple of grams of this thing can kill an adult human. And so how do we decouple this conversation from this whole idea of kind of, xenophobia or racism, or how can we do that so that the average American can kind of turn their thinking about this to say, this is no longer some issue about, getting too many, low wage workers, or an issue around, we don't like, brown people, or that kind of thing that you hear in the media all the time. How do we turn that conversation? Is it, and in this case, I'm going to refer to, I know you're working on a documentary. Is it potentially showing them what is truly happening in a way that they can't ignore anymore?
Well, those labels, because those are labels, right? We want to label people xenophobic, you're a racist, you're a bigot, all of these things. I'm a studier of history, and again, my family fled Stalin, so I've been called a white supremacist, but the left didn't get that narrative that I was actually, my family were Jewish and they were marched off to the gulags, and some of them didn't make it. My family literally left everything in Russia to flee here for a better way of life, to save their actual physical lives, right? And so the tactic of the communist regimes, right, or the left, the communist Mao. So if you study Mao, you study Stalin, you study Hitler, all of these, the Chinese malignment, you start reading and understanding what your history is. That's one of the things that was so greatly used, especially, let's talk about Nazi Germany. With the Jews, the propaganda machine, which is you control the narrative, you control the media, you can brainwash and control a lot of the outcomes. That's just part of the political correctness, which started at the late 80s, beginning of the early 90s, was part of that machine to start keeping you silent, to keep the church, quite frankly, silent, because they're afraid of the church. Because when the church falls, everything else falls along with it. And so morals and all of those things. I don't care what people call me, quite frankly. We need to get backbones in this country and in this world, quite frankly. You can call me anything you want. And like I said, I've been called everything from a white supremacist to a racist to a bigot to everything else. Doesn't matter to me. I don't really care. You don't know me. My actions, my words, speak highly of what I do in the field. I have friends from all walks of life. We were all created in one image, and that is the image of God. It doesn't matter the color of the skin. That's the division, right? That's the devil. The devil wants to keep us divided, because in unification, we're stronger. That's what the left is afraid of. That's what the communists are afraid of. They are afraid if we put down all of those barriers and we come together with one voice, then we're going to be the powerful movement that they cannot stop. So get rid of all of those preconceived notions, everybody out there, and start voicing and standing up and pushing back. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? That's the first question to ask yourself. I looked at myself very long in the mirror, and I had to ask myself that question. And so I'm very secure with who I am in Jesus Christ. I'm secure with who I am. And I know I'm none of those things, right? So therefore, I don't allow them to control my mind and my thoughts, because I know who I am, and those are lies of the devil. So let's first attack that and get that out of your head, because now you can do the work that God's called us to do.